I spent 15 years building a life I thought was unshakable, a loving marriage, a thriving career, a beautiful home overlooking the San Francisco Bay. I trusted my wife, Chloe, with everything, my heart, my future, and my entire financial legacy. But what I found out during one routine checkup wasn't just a mistake or a small secret. It was a calculated, decade-long fraud that threatened to erase my existence, orchestrated by the one person I swore to protect. This is the story of how I uncovered the architect of my own ruin. Script body starts. Hello, and welcome back to Chroma Chronicles. If you're here, you know we dive deep into the real-life betrayals that leave the deepest scars, the moments when life doesn't just get hard, it gets rewritten. We focus on the ultimate reckoning that follows injustice. Before we even get into the chilling details of this shocking betrayal, if you believe in justice and the ultimate power of truth, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Your support ensures these intense stories of reckoning continue to be told and that others can find their strength here. My name is Elias. I'm 48 years old now, but this story began years ago, when I was younger, wealthier, and far more naive, living in what I believed was a perfect, golden cage of my own making. For most of my adult life, I was a high-level executive at a successful, bleeding-edge tech firm here in the heart of the Bay Area. My career was my identity, demanding 90-hour weeks, constant travel, and absolute focus. My life was a meticulously crafted image of success, the custom Italian suit, the sleek glass-walled office, and, most importantly, the stunning blonde wife, Chloe. Chloe was the perfect partner in every social sense. She was charming, effortlessly gliding through social events, always involved in high-profile charitable causes like animal welfare and art patronage. She handled the domestic sphere, managing our home, overseeing all our joint investments, and diligently shielding me from the mundane details of daily life so I could focus on my demanding job. She presented herself as the artistic, free-spirited, human element to my sometimes too logical, tech-driven world. She was the color in my monochrome existence. We lived in a sprawling, modern home in Marin County, just across the Golden Gate Bridge, a testament to what we had built together over 15 seemingly wonderful years of marriage. She always called it our sanctuary. She always insisted on taking the lead with the family finances, a role I happily relinquished. Elias, honey, she'd say with a dismissive wave of her hand, you deal with the algorithms and the billion-dollar deals, I'll deal with the dollars and cents and the bills. It saves you the headache and the boredom. I loved her for it. I interpreted her desire to control the paperwork as simply her way of nurturing and protecting our shared financial future. That trust, that blind, absolute, and unconditional faith I placed in her, became the single biggest vulnerability in my life. I was too busy building the multi-million-dollar engine that powered our life to notice she was quietly rerouting all the vital power lines and critical oil reserves to her own dark, private grid. I was paying the price, and she was collecting the profits. Rising action. Suspense. Jide on high. The investigation begins. The first hint that my reality was fabricated wasn't a bank statement or an email. It was a single, aggressive telephone call that pierced the silence of a high-stakes board meeting. It happened about 6 months ago, right when I was finalizing a multi-million-dollar acquisition deal. My personal cell phone, which rarely rings for non-work matters, buzzed with an unrecognized number repeatedly, urgently. I finally stepped out, annoyed by the interruption, and answered the fourth attempt. This is the collections department of Coastal Lending, a sharp, unfriendly, and utterly professional voice announced. We are calling regarding your overdue commercial loan, account 334X. The outstanding principal sum is $850,000. I felt the blood drain from my face. I think you have the wrong number. I managed, my voice sounding hollow. I have never applied for a commercial loan. My business is software security, not whatever that number is. The agent sighed, clearly exasperated by what he perceived as a common denial tactic. Sir, we have the signed and notarized documents. We have the collateral, your property in Sonoma. And we have your registered business name, Elias and Associates Marketing. This loan is 3 months delinquent. Marketing? I work in proprietary software and security architecture. And the Sonoma property? We sold that quaint little vineyard years ago to simplify our lives, or so I thought. I was utterly shaken, but I instinctively tried to shield Chloe, resorting to the old story. I called her. Darling, she answered instantly, her voice a soothing balm. I am so sorry, I totally forgot to tell you. That's that awful mix-up with the charity gala planning for the Redwood Foundation. We used an old, defunct business name from years ago just for the initial venue deposit, but I thought I'd shut that account down months ago. It must be some clerical error, a simple paper trail headache. I'll call them right now and sort out this bureaucratic nightmare. She sounded genuinely flustered, but her explanation, though incredibly thin and full of holes, felt plausible enough for a busy, scatterbrained, creative person like my wife. I accepted it. I told myself I was being paranoid. I went back to the board meeting, shaken but convinced. But the seed of doubt, once planted, takes deep root. This is why, friends, if you are listening to Trauma Chronicles, you must promise yourself to never let an unanswered question linger. I started paying closer attention, something I hadn't done in a decade. I noticed subtle, but consistent things. Chloe had become almost pathologically obsessed with her laptop privacy. If I walked into the home office, she would physically flinch and slam the lid shut, claiming she was dealing with sensitive donor lists. She was taking frequent, longer trips to L.A. and New York, always for art gallery exhibitions or charity board meetings. But she'd never bring back a program or a photo or even mention details about the events. Then came the second, undeniable sign. One Saturday morning, as we were having coffee on the deck overlooking the Pacific, I casually asked her for the login to our main joint investment portfolio, mentioning that my CFO needed the details for tax prep. She didn't just refuse, she recoiled. She laughed, a tight, artificial, and forced sound. Honey, why? I handle all that. Don't worry your handsome, brilliant head about it. Everything is fantastic, better than you know. You just sign the final tax forms when I give them to you. Her immediate, severe defensiveness was a second red flag, this time the size of a billboard. Fantastic, she said, but the detailed monthly paper statements that used to arrive had suddenly stopped. She had claimed they went digital to save the trees, a notion I had, again, blindly accepted. That day, I decided to use the one skill she hadn't accounted for, my own formidable expertise in digital security and network architecture. If I couldn't get the password from her, I would find a way around her digital walls. The thought of spying on my own wife made me feel sick, but the fear of losing everything was a greater motivator. I set up a dedicated secure server, a ghost in the machine, and quietly rerouted all our incoming digital mail through it before it hit her main, personal inbox. I started with the property tax records for the Marin home, and then the bank statements. What I found in those secure digital files wasn't a clerical error, a paper trail headache, or a simple mistake by an overworked socialite. It was a sprawling, intricate web of organized financial deceit. The Sonoma property hadn't been sold years ago. It was still on the books, mortgaged 3 times over in my name without my knowledge or consent. The commercial loan was real, and it wasn't for a charity deposit. It was for a new corporation, registered in Nevada, called Krama Investments. The signature was mine, but clearly forged. She wasn't just committing fraud. She was operating a full-scale, sophisticated financial criminal enterprise, using my identity as the foundation. Climax. Revelation. Yaidwan Ba. The climax. Revelation. The shock was physical. It felt like a punch to the chest, the kind that steals your breath and makes your vision swim. I sat in my home office for hours, staring at the bank files, the corporate registrations, the forged documents. The screens glowed with numbers that spelled out my ruin. I saw transfers totaling nearly $12 million that had bypassed me entirely, money I had earned, money meant for our retirement, funneled into shell accounts in the Caymans. I realized that the perfect life I had been enjoying was actually a perfectly constructed stage, and I was merely the well-meaning but oblivious supporting actor. She was the writer, director, and lead thief. But here's where the story takes a turn. I didn't confront her immediately. I didn't scream. I didn't file for divorce that day. I knew that instinctual chaos would only benefit her. I chose calculation over chaos. Revenge needed patience. I knew that if I tipped my hand, she was clever enough and ruthless enough to wipe the digital footprint clean, transfer the final assets offshore, and vanish with a new identity. I would be left with all the debt and none of the evidence. I had to play her game, but play it better. I had to become the quiet, unseen predator she never saw coming. I spent the next 2 months compiling a digital dossier. I used my security expertise to create an encrypted, decentralized backup of every single fraudulent transaction, every email, every forged signature. I contacted a specialist forensic accountant and a top-tier divorce attorney, all under the guise of an emergency business audit for my own company. I needed the final, perfect moment of exposure, a public reckoning where her entire support structure would collapse at once. Chloe was organizing her biggest event yet, the Sanctuary Gala, a massive black-tie fundraiser where she would announce a major philanthropic initiative, cementing her place as a powerhouse in the Bay Area elite. She invited all our friends, my business partners, and, most importantly, the people whose money she was actually investing through her scheme. That was the place. The final stage for her fall. The night of the gala arrived. The ballroom was stunning, draped in silk and bathed in soft light. Chloe was radiant in a custom-made emerald gown, delivering a flawless, tear-jerking speech about integrity and giving back to the community. I stood next to her, smiling, playing the devoted, supportive husband for the last time. It felt like I was wearing a mask of lead. She concluded her speech, holding up a glass of champagne. And now, she announced to the crowd of 300 powerful people, let us toast to the future, to transparency, and to my incredible, supportive husband, Elias. As the crowd raised their glasses, I stepped forward, holding my own tablet, which was discreetly connected to the venue's giant projection screen used for B-roll footage. Wait, Chloe, I said gently, my voice calm but amplified by the microphone. I placed my hand on her shoulder, the gesture of a loving partner, but the contact felt like ice. There's one final component to this commitment to transparency that I need to share with everyone tonight. Her eyes flickered to the screen, then back to me, an expression of confusion turning instantly to utter, blinding panic as she realized what was happening. On the screen, I didn't project a check or a thank you note. I projected the Krama Investments Company registration, showing Chloe as the sole executive, in a color-coded, easy-to-read spreadsheet documenting the fraudulent transfers and the offshore accounts. This is the real sanctuary she built, I continued, my voice gaining strength, cutting through the murmurs in the room. A sanctuary for stolen money, built on the back of forged documents, identity theft, and lies. I pointed to the screen where a list of names many of the most prominent people in the room flickered. Those of you whose names are highlighted in red, you are the victims of her investment scheme. Those of you in blue, you are her partners in conspiracy, her accomplices. The room erupted. People gasped, shouted, and surged to their feet. Chaos descended instantly. Chloe rushed towards me, trying to snatch the tablet, her beautiful gown forgotten. Elias, stop it, this is insane. You're ruining everything, she shrieked, her perfect facade crumbling instantly into rage. Aftermath. Conclusion. Jidwan Boln. The Reckoning. I didn't stop. I stepped back from her, pulled an encrypted flash drive from my jacket pocket, and handed it to the two men in tailored suits I had strategically placed near the main exit, disguised as high-end security. They were, in fact, FBI financial crimes agents I had been coordinating with for weeks. The full evidence is here, I told the agents calmly, loud enough for those nearby to hear. It's all time-stamped, authenticated, and ready for prosecution. The moment Chloe saw the two agents approach her, the last vestiges of her pride and arrogance left her eyes. The perfect wife, the celebrated socialite, the charitable icon, was now just a common criminal, publicly exposed to her entire network. She was led out of the ballroom in handcuffs, passing the very people she had just charmed and cheated. The look of utter devastation and betrayal, not her betrayal of me, but the world's betrayal of her on her face was, I confess, the most satisfying sight I had ever witnessed. It was the only justice I would ever get for the 15 years she stole from me. The legal fallout was immense. The divorce was finalized quickly. I was able to prove she had wasted and stolen the marital assets through criminal fraud, and I kept my remaining personal assets in the Marin home. Chloe was later convicted of multiple counts of wire fraud and identity theft. She received a substantial federal prison sentence. The wealth she chased, the fame she craved, it all vanished in a single, devastating moment. If you find yourself nodding along to this story, seeing echoes of deceit in your own life, you are not alone. This experience taught me that trust must be earned every single day, and that ignoring the small, nagging red flags, no matter how inconvenient, is an act of self-betrayal. It took me a year to rebuild my life, to untangle the digital web she wove. The emotional scars remain, but they are not the scars of a victim. They are the Krama Chronicles, the proof that when the narrative is toxic, you have the courage and power to rewrite the ending. We're always looking for new tales of justice and reckoning. If you have an incredible true story of betrayal and triumph, submit it to Krama Chronicles. Your anonymity is guaranteed, and your story deserves to be heard. Remember, the moment you decide to face the truth is the moment the true healing begins, and the karma cycle completes itself. We have a powerful collection of similar stories waiting for you on the channel. Click on the video showing The Fake Inheritor for another dose of undeniable justice where the truth eventually prevails. And finally, before you click away, take a moment to share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that even the deepest cuts can heal, leaving behind only the strength gained from the fight. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the lives where the truth finally gets its day and the reckoning is delivered. Thank you for watching. This is Elias, signing off from Krama Chronicles.